Hi. So I want to make a quick video introducing you to the work of Anna Deavere Smith. You were briefly introduced to her work in the acting section in week 2, where I gave you a little sample of her work, and there was also a short little introduction to her process and how she creates her work. So just to reinforce some of that, maybe repeat some of it, but maybe go a little bit deeper. She is an amazing solo performance artist. She's just a general theater person in the world. You may have seen her back on The West Wing. She had a recurring role on that show from the 90s, I believe. And in the film version of Rent, she played one of the parents of the two women that are getting married, and break me, that number. Anyway, so she's a working actor. She also teaches across the country at different colleges. I think she's had probably a couple of teaching positions at prominent universities around the U.S. But she is primarily known as a solo performance artist, and her way of generating text is through conducting interviews with people. And in performance, she embodies those individuals by physically focusing on repeating their vocal production and obviously their physical production too. So she's just an amazing artist. She covers a lot of really important issues. One of her most recent shows, it's actually it's this first one. Now, to watch this, you will need your library login information, which is just your L number and your password for all the other websites on campus that you join. This is a little blurb about her show that is still going around the world or whatever. I saw a theater company in Portland do it, and instead of one person performing all the parts, which is what Anna Deavere Smith would do in performance, they had different actors play the different characters, which is just another way to do it. One might argue that sort of minimizes the theatrical element of it, in which you see one person transforming, which is amazing. But she's obviously okay with that because they got the rights to do it. And this show particularly talks about the healthcare system and the problems with the healthcare in this country. So, as a way of introducing her, and one of the reasons I've included her as part of the short little discussion, I could have maybe had a whole week on just solo performance, because it is a very important genre in the U.S. and across the world and everywhere. I have a solo show of my own and working on another, and it's a very viable option for a lot of artists to create their own content, and the business of it is much more manageable than trying to get someone to hire you to come and direct their show or be cast in their show, and maybe you have to move to go do that professionally or what have you. Solo performance often tour around the country. There's something called the Fringe Circuit, which we'll look at in the international week, where there's all these little festivals that pop up around different places around the world, where you can go see not just solo shows, but innovative fringe works, which I'll talk about more later. There are solo performance festivals. There are a handful of theaters, just very few, around the country, in New York, obviously, that focus just on doing solo work. So solo performance is really interesting. If you are interested in a certain part of your identity or the identity of someone else, there's probably a solo performance artist who does that, or many who do. There are 1,000 million gay solo shows. There are solo shows about what it means to be African American, shows about what it means to be Asian American. So solo shows are really an interesting genre. And I've included at least some of her work here. Here's another interview with her. This is very recent, obviously done through Zoom, where she's discussing her work and identity. So take a look at those. The first two are required. The second two are not required. I really hope you look at them, though. I will throw out here that these could be possible options for one of your production analysis papers if you look at either Fires in the Mirror or Twilight Los Angeles. Quite honestly, if I had found a video version of Twilight Los Angeles, I would have embedded it in the course as a required viewing at some point. But anyway, so let's look at these two. Fires in the Mirror is what, I should know the date, sometime in the 80s, an African-American child was killed. A Jewish person, a Hasidic Jew, was driving a car that killed an African-American child. It was, from what I gather, from what I know, it was an accident, but it set off race riots. It set off riots in this neighborhood in Queens or somewhere. It's in a neighborhood in New York. It's all there. Now this is a video. This is a series of YouTube videos, only 15-minute chunks each, but it does eventually follow where you would get to see the whole performance. These videos that are both loaded here are obviously created as videos. A little bit, they're maybe perhaps a little bit differently experiencing them in on video form than you would be if you were to see her live. But I think the effect, it's clearly not a movie, so I think it retains a lot of the impact that you would get if you were to see her live. Anyway, so what she did was she went and interviewed numerous individuals who were involved in both sides of the conflict, the Orthodox Jewish community and the African American community, that were living in the same community, and the tensions have been increasing between the two different cultures until it exploded with this horrible incident of a child losing their life. So that's really, I hope you at least watch a part of it so you can see her how she embodies a character, how she uses her physicality and her vocal production to embody these characters. As you watch it, you may think, oh wow, she's really making big, broad choices about these people. They didn't really act like that. She's exaggerating, but she's probably not. And it's interesting that she is the one embodying them because she is this mixed race individual who is, and we are experiencing this story through her. We can't ignore that a mixed race individual is telling this story of of a white community and a black community. The other one I really kind of wish I had found a way to require you to watch was Twilight Los Angeles. It is the focus of the story are the race riots that happened in Los Angeles after the police were found not guilty for beating Rodney King to death. So it's still very timely. I mean, this was 92, so things ain't changing. This video I just found as I started to do this little lecture on the PBS Masterpiece Theater. What's it called? You know what I mean. I always say the wrong one, but anyway, it's a performance. Anyway, it's PBS. You can watch it here, the whole thing. It's just an hour and a half. Most solo shows, you'd be crazy to do a solo show for 2 hours because it's hard to maintain attention for that long, and it will kill you when it's just one person performing for 2 hours. That's quite a physical feat. So that's Anna Deavere Smith. She's an extremely important artist, still working today. She's been working for a long time. If you scroll around the internet and look for things, and you might even notice in some of the materials that I've loaded up here, she's been working for a while because some of her stuff she's quite younger than she is in today, but aren't we all? So yeah, that's Anna Deavere Smith, an important artist who works in a unique way. A lot of people have been inspired by her work and have replicated her way of interviewing people, and might not have made very clear. The text that she performs is verbatim what those interviewees said. Now, of course, she's going to edit it to get it, to a specific time and structure the language and the storytelling for maximum impact. But she does not write any of the text. It's all verbatim what the characters say. I have worked with students on creating a devised piece using her methods, and it's very effective. It's a unique way of producing theater that not might a lot of people know is so common these days, and they might definitely not know about the process. So I hope you enjoy learning about her.